I learned about you, and I love the Instagram handle. Dads don't babysit.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah. Actually, that I was on a phone call with a friend who we were conference calling with somebody else, and he was doing a couple things, but he was a recent father. It was his first. So, and I want to say it was within a month or two of having the little guy. And so he was talking with me, and we were over the phone, and he's like, "Hey man, just want to let you know if you hear the little one in the background, it's because I'm babysitting." And at this point, I think I had four of my five, and I said, "Hold on right there. You're being a dad. Like we don't babysit. We are fathers, and you're doing the dad work right now." Like, and obviously, in that conversation, I'm going, "Well, of course. If I hear a baby, it's totally fine." Like I tell people sometimes on podcasts, hey, I may have a child come rolling in and jump across the screen or sit down next to me because I'm a dad and that's how it works, you know? So that's actually where it came from. I just said, hey, man, we're dads. We don't babysit. That's a totally different thing.
Well, I'm glad you took that perspective rather than the alternate perspective being, dads aren't allowed to have that job, like a side
Yeah.
hustle of watching the neighbor's kids or something. Uh, but you're right. I've heard that said before. I may have even said it myself.
Yeah.
Like I gotta watch the kids today.
Yeah.
But it's I get to be a dad today. And that's the thing. Like I've got the kids, and I've got an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think even well before I was a dad myself, there was this picture. Maybe it's from a previous generation, or maybe it's just kind of taught to us today. Maybe it's the trend of our society that we're kind of like we help make the kid, and then let me know when it's time to teach him, to throw the ball, or uh, let me know when you're ready to learn how to ride a bike. I'm gonna go, earn the make the bacon.
Yeah.
What is wrong with that? Where's that come from?
Yeah. Well, I honestly think that's probably last 150 years concept, in my opinion. I think pre-industrial revolution, like if you think about that situation prior to the industrial revolution where men and like where we started to build suburbs and mothers stayed at home with the kids and men went to work at a job in some factory, what you had was fathers and like families and like groups of people who were farming or tribe of some kind, and they worked together to gather food or hunt. And I know that's like ancient kind of thought, but I really think the concept of I make the bacon, like I go home, I bring home the bacon, and I go to a job. My job is to do those things, and the wife handles everything else. Comes from that going away in the Industrial Revolution. Prior to that, as the kids got to a certain age, and I think it was pretty young, the boys would go with dad wherever they were going. The kids were with them. So if you're in the fields, he's teaching you how to plant. He's teaching you how to hunt, how to be quiet, how to track an animal. Like he's teaching you the life skills of survival and living as was done at that time. And we walked away from that when we started to just go to a factory job, go work and come home. And I think that that's really where that came from. I mean, I have a background in the church, and I loved the cultural historical background studies of like the Jewish culture from back in the day. So when I think of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, when I think of those generations of men, the children were from the fathers. Even though the women carried them, the fathers had a major responsibility because they were the ones that like when I look at all the lineages in the Bible, they're from the fathers, not the mothers. And that says something about that. And I mean, some people are going to say, well, that's the patriarchy or whatever, patriarchy, whatever you want to call it. I just look at that as there was a responsibility from the man to be the example and to lead and to teach his next generation. And we walked away from that when we started to just say, oh, well, my job's just to go to work. And when I come home, well, that's the woman's space. So when I'm at home, she handles everything else. I don't think it was like that prior to that.